Welcome aboard, shippers. This is Real Sailors, Real Sea Stories, a training program created for the U.S. Naval Sea Cadet Corps by our supporters at the Navy Talent Acquisition Group in Philadelphia. I am your host, Ensign Brittany DePippo of the Naval Sea Cadet Corps, filling in David Sheets this evening. I am joined by our all-Navy support crew, MC1 Quinlan, our PAO, and SCG1 Lewison, our Technical Support Director. Today's topic, the Navy Security Force Master at Arms. Today's presenter is Petty Officer First Class Wilton from NTAG Nashville, Tennessee. Cadets, remember, this is not passive listening, this is active learning. This is a live interactive presentation, so please put your questions in the comments section. There will be a link posted in the description after the conclusion of this episode to complete the online quiz where you can earn 2 hours of virtual TL credit. Now, without further delay, Petty Officer Wilton, the ship is all yours.
Thank you, ma'am, and thank you guys for the invite to come out here and talk a little bit about my job, which I do love very much. So I'm excited to go over a little bit about what we do as a Master at Arms. So I guess we go into me a little bit. I am from Atwood, Tennessee, which is basically West Tennessee, middle of nowhere, very small town. If you can imagine, graduating with 88 people. It's very small. I've been in for 15 years come November. So it's pretty exciting. I've had a little bit of started out active, had some reserve time in there. Reason why I joined, of course, like most people, I was looking for some higher education. I was looking for travel. Of course, I didn't have that kind of money, so why not travel on the Navy's dime and get to see a little bit of the world and different cultures while I was at it. There's a lot of things I loved about my job. I came in not really realizing what exactly I was getting into. That was not something that I was particularly concerned about. The reason I was joining, I was like, I don't care what you put me in as, I'll do the best I can. But as I have been in and been doing this job as military police, I like how it's always changing. Things are always different everywhere I've been, and I've liked that aspect of it. You can see here on I have a previous assignment. I have been around a little bit. I got to visit quite a few different locations. As I said, I started out at active duty. I was at Washington State first time up. Beautiful, beautiful location. I was with SWIFPAC out there, which is a Marine Command. It was a Marine Command. It was quite a different duty assignment. We protected strategic assets. Wore the Marine uniform for the first 2 years, and I was like, I did not sign up for this. But it was very different. I liked being able to talk and meet other guys that were different from my own branch. And of course, being my first command, everything was new anyway. From there, I wanted I chose all hot places. As you can imagine, we have a pick 7 of our locations that we wanted to go to. And I liked the heat, so I chose all the locations that I could go to that would bring me that. And I got selected for Guam, which is a MESRON unit in Guam, actually, not base security once again. It was different in that we were deployable unit. Basically, we went out and did what we had to do for 3 months at a time. I went to the Philippines, and then I was on the USNS Able, then I was on the USNS Loyal out of Japan. So that was really nice being able to go on those deployments and getting a little bit more experience and sightseeing on that. From there, I went to Kuwait. I volunteered for an IA, individual augmentee billet, and went to Kuwait. I was actually attached to the hospital unit there as the duty armor. So it was once again a whole different location, but I wanted to be able to go and see a little bit more. I was coming down to the count for the end of my first tour for active duty. Sandstorms are not something that I recommend. The cleanup is most definitely harder than you would expect. But I definitely enjoyed my time there. From there, of course, I went back to San Diego I had about 9 months left on my active duty time there. And then I went straight into the reserves after that to use my GI Bill, which we'll talk a little bit more, which y'all probably already know a lot about. Then I went upstairs. I was part of the NOS, the Nashville Operational Support Center, Nashville. I accepted ADSW orders for funeral honors coordinator position, which was the highlight and most rewarding part of my career as of yet, most definitely. Then I was back into the reserves for a little bit, for a short time, and I am currently at NTAG Nashville on recruiting duty. That was a short rundown of my career. Do we have any questions so far on that one? Okay. A little bit about Master at Arms. I was actually on Google on this. I'm not a history person. So, excuse me. I was researching a little bit about my rating, which I knew a little bit of this, we were first established in 73. But what was not really well known was that only E5 and above were accepted into the Master at Arms rating at the time. And it was not until 2003 that it became open to all rankings. So when I enlisted in 2005, I went directly into Master at Arms. And back then it was still really new as far as that goes. Of course, our primary job is to uphold the rules and regulations, and of course, we provide training to those around us as well. And I will say that we are kind of uniform snobs. Okay, going on. Okay, we have a short YouTube video here, which is really nice, created by America's Navy. So right here, they're on shipboard life, which I don't have that much experience at. As I said, I was on the USNS Able and the Loyal. So as far as big shipboard carrier, aircraft carriers, our job, there's not as many of us out there because there's just not as big of a need for us there. There's more of a need for us guarding the bases and providing security for those and patrols. Obviously, now she is on a regular patrol. She's on shore patrol there. There's another one being on shipboard, doing armory, brig watch. We do a little bit of all of that. Military working dogs, which is a very popular portion of our job. It's very selective to get into that. Weapons training, you can imagine all sorts of different weapons. It really depends on duty location, on where you are, what weapons you will get trained on. Okay, it looks like they are providing airport security there. Then some more training with the MWD.
So MA1, we actually have a couple of questions. So one of the cadets asked, what do you mean by uniform snob?
As you can imagine, whenever you're wearing your uniform, even now for Sea Cadets, JROTC, anybody, we have certain standards. You have a way that you're supposed to wear your uniform. When it comes to Master at Arms, we kind of uphold the standard for that. When it comes down to the correct earrings that you're wearing, your hair has to be just right. We look at undershirts. If your undershirt is old and raggedy, we're gonna not we're going to look at you like, fix yourself, shipmate. That's what I mean by uniform snobs. Your boots should be nice and blackened by instruction, but we expect them to be shined, as you were taught in boot camp on how to do. Does that kind of answer your question on that one?
Yes, I believe so, MA1. We also have a question on what is the hardest part about your job being a master at arms?
I would say most people probably would think making friends. As you can imagine, we are loved and hated, just like civilian police. We love and hate them because, well, they're making us pay out, pay a fine. But at the same time, if you break the law, you break the law. The worst part about the job, I would say the knowledge portion, I guess. Just trying to remember all of the rules and regulations, and they are always changing. So you have to like keep up with the new standards, the new times, different locations that you go to as well. They're always updating on that. Being on the lookout for BOLOs, which are unauthorized personnel trying to get onto your particular base. You're trying to memorize, okay, who am I being on the lookout for, as well as doing your primary job, which is, of course, checking IDs and security of the gate.
I can imagine there's so many. It seems like it changes every time. So I was going to ask you at the last slide, you said that travel the world, but technically you could do that in any of the branches, but why the Navy in particular, do you think?
What was that? What?
Why the Navy? Why the Navy and not the Air Force? They do a lot of security forces type stuff. So why not the Air Force?
Because anywhere you go in the Navy, you're going to be near a beach. One of my other slides you'll see in the PowerPoint, that's one of my my experiences that I've absolutely loved. Being from Tennessee, we are landlocked. We have a bunch of lakes, but no way do we have any sort of beaches and such. As far as the branches and stuff, as military police, we all have it. All the branches are the same, on benefits. We all offer the same stuff, but jobs are different. But when it comes to my job, we do all have this job. For some people, it comes down to what uniform do you like better, or when it comes to duty stations, we have 3-year tours. We have 3-tour seashore rotation, meaning we do 3 years sea duty, then we do 3 years shore duty, which is kind of nice when you want more travel. And I'm not the expert when it comes to the other branches, but I believe when it comes to the Air Force, they have a lot longer shore duty. So they don't travel as much when it comes to sea duty and such, but don't quote me on that one. So as I showed in my first 7 years in, I got to travel quite a bit, and that was a very big plus for me, especially being in the Navy and such. That's something I was definitely looking forward to and glad I got to experience it.
That's awesome. And then I'm going to ask the question on everybody's mind for working dogs. How often do you think that you get asked the question, so hey, do you work with the dogs and stuff? Do you do that? Or is it like, what is that what you do?
I do not personally have, nor have I been assigned a military working dog. I have worked with those guys at my first command, actually. They are the ones who are brought down to the lower base. They will come out and do random inspections of vehicles just to see. They also do that through the barracks. It's the military working dogs that go through the barracks, also looking for contraband or unauthorized substances. I have not personally done that. I've had, of course, friends who have applied and been accepted and worked with military working dogs. And of course, coming in, those that come into the military, that's something that they really wanted to do. That's something I really wanted to do when I come in. But contrary to popular belief, it's actually very, very difficult job in itself. They have very long hours. They have a very tough training schedule for the dogs and the individuals on top of their regular primary job of going out there and doing what they need to do to help with security and supplement.
And the lesson that I have based on the video that was shown, there was a lot of weapons in that. Is it when you go through like a training for Master at Arms, are you rated on like all of the different weapons, or is it particular to your duty station where you learn how to handle those types of weapons?
That is particular to your duty station that you are at. Typically, it's the you'll have a rifle, a pistol, and the shotgun. Out of A school, that's what you are, and of course OC sprayed. Have fun with that. Just be glad it's only a one-time deal. Just do it and get it over with. It's rough. It's rough. It's like a 1% that is not affected by OC spray. It is terrible, absolutely terrible. But
can you explain what that is for some of the cadets that might not know what OC spray is?
Very similar to pepper spray. It's the spray that they spray in your eyes. It's the Oscillarian with the hot pepper spray. But it's not just getting sprayed in the eyes. You also have a course that you have to go through with the baton. And at the end, you have to take down the red man, as we call him. He's this big guy, and you have to use your mock moves to actually take this guy down to the ground before you are actually done with the course. And then you get to go wash your eyes out.
Ooh.
It's extremely painful. There's no other way to describe that. It is extremely painful, and you just get through what you got to do and know that it's a one-time deal. Now it's a one-time deal. They have changed the rules on that. We used to have to go through it every few years. But now that you've experienced it one time, they are like, okay, you don't have to ever do this again. So that's been great. My first duty command, we had M14s and M9s, and of course the shotguns. And then the second command I went to, the Mesron unit, we also have the crew served weapons. We had the 240 Golf, we had the 60 cal, the Mark 19, and of course we had the M16, the 9mm, and of course the shotgun as well there. So each duty station I've been to, it is specific to our job. What job was I doing? What do I need to be trained on? The Mesron unit was amazing in that it was so diverse, because we also had the small crew served boats out there, which I had some training on that when I was at SwiftPack. But when I went to the Mesron unit, I got more in-depth training. We also did what you would call forward operating bases. We would go and set them up for trainings, and we would be out there 4 to 5 days, and we would set up these tents and run drills, and you would have Charlie post with sandbags set up, and you would man the crew served weapons. And if you've ever heard or seen anything about Guam, it rains. It rains a lot. So Gore-Tex is your best friend out there, most definitely. But as I said, it was fun training exercises and new experiences all the time.
It's awesome.
Great. I guess moving right along here. As I said, the Master at Arms, you are expected to be above board. You are upholding the law for yourself and for others. So when it comes to joining the military, at least for the Navy, we do have higher standards than the other job rates. Any drug-related offenses, I can also say should have alcohol on there as well. It doesn't have alcohol. Oh, yes, it does. There it is. Any drug or alcohol-related offenses at all, it could be 8 years old, simple possessions, what have you. You will not be authorized to join in as a Master at Arms. So think about that when you're young and who your friends are. Don't be that guy. Don't be that guy that's guilty by association or anything if this is ever what you think you might want to do. It's just not worth your career. Of course, serious in-depthness, that means basically that you have something in collections when it comes to, say you bought a car, couldn't pay on it, and it got repossessed, and then it goes to collections because they still wait on money from you. When it comes to military police, you have to have that security clearance. you also have to be in that position that there's no doubt that you are not going to be bought off, so to speak. So that's why they don't want you to be in any serious in-depthness, as they don't want that to be a question. Of course, anything that is sexual in nature, which is a very, very serious offense in and of itself, but when it comes to us, it's going to be a definite no-go. And of course, domestic violence convictions those are the main ones that are going to be no-goes when it comes to joining in as military police. Are those good to go on those? Okay. What do I do as an MA? It's a little bit, as you saw in the video, a little bit of everything. Let's try to get in here on mine. Fun fact is, I've never once done base security. I've been in for over 15 years, and I've never written a ticket. So when it comes to base security, I know who receives the pink ticket because I've received the pink ticket. I have been that person. Not that I'm proud of it, but let's see. So we do everything from waterborne security patrol, which I've talked about, the small boats that we've done, the crew serves. Customs, when the Navy pulled out of Kuwait and the Army came and took over the hospital there, it was actually the Army came, but the Navy Master at Arms stayed there for customs. So we did still stay and do that, and a lot of our base security also got replaced. But that is something that is one of our primary jobs that we do. Of course, we talked to base security patrols. When you think of military police, think of us as the same as civilian police, except we are limited to base. From 50 feet out from the front gate on back is our territory. That is our responsibility. That is what we are protecting. We do everything from stand to gate, which whenever you first join in and you're that rank of V3 and below, usually you're going to be on the gate. You're going to be standing there. You're going to be checking IDs. You're going to be making sure that no one gets in that should not be coming in. Once you move up in position, that's whenever you're doing your patrols, you're responding to house calls, you're responding to domestics. We are in the military. We do have higher standards, but we are just people at the same time. So you do have those people that can't handle their alcohol, those people that just get into fights with their siblings or something like that. And then you have those that have kids. You have teenagers, you have kids of all ages that are on base that, may get a little bored and get into stuff that they shouldn't. So that's where we're out there just trying to keep the peace. We also, of course, implement aircraft and flight security. We can set up landing zones and make sure that we are free and clear for those if needed. Oil platform protection, I've never done those personally, so I can't speak to those personal experiences on how those work. I would assume it's just like everything else that we do is setting up security and making sure no one's on the deck. Of course, we do provide private security for high-ranking dignitaries and government officials. Of course, we talked a little bit about K9 explosive narcotics detection. Excuse me. Physical security inspections. We do RAMs, random anti-terrorism measures, short for RAM. Those are where they're saying, all right, every third person through the gate, you're either inspecting their vehicle or you're doing a pat down of the person. Those are constantly changing just to keep everyone on their toes. And you don't know what's expected. You don't know if you're going to be that person. So if you're trying to sneak something in on that one time, you never know if that's going to be the time that you're going to get caught and busted, so to speak. We do have investigations units. Usually it's going to be more of the higher ranking MAs, just because they have the experience. And of course, that's just going to be a part of the longer you've been doing the job, the more experienced you are, and the more you know what you're getting into. From the lower portion up, I mean, if you watch from any of the shows on TV, then okay, don't touch anything, that kind of stuff. That's where you're going to start out at, is secure the scene. That's the very first thing for anything, is securing the scene and calling in the proper authorities to, hey, I need some help out here. This is what we got going on, kind of deal. Let's see, crime prevention programs, that's just where we're doing some trainings on what to expect, anti-terrorism, force protections, and things like that. We are expected to help out and do trainings on those things. And of course, we have weapons and funds, escorts. Those are as necessary and depends on where you're at on doing those. Do we have any questions on that portion?
Yeah, so I do have a question. So, do Master at Arms interface with JAG at all, in those types of things that happen on that side of the house? How does that work?
They would. It's just like any other sort of communication-wise. They would most definitely give them the facts. You know, when it comes to JAG, they are lawyers. Essentially, they are the military lawyers. So they would interface with them and communicate with them on the facts of the investigation. But as with anything, until the investigation's actually wrapped up, there's not much that they can really tell them. That's, once again, that's not something I've personally dealt with. I just, from what I have friends who have done it and helped out with them.
The other question that we have is, so it says on this list, river security. So does that also go in with like SWIC boat operations, or what is river security basically around the bases?
That's exactly what it would be. It would, because SWIC, they have their own. SWIC is their own. They do their own thing. They are above us. They are the special operations unit, most definitely. They own it. All right, great guys. You guys got it, kind of deal. River security for us, yes, it would definitely be, if it's through the bases or around the bases, something like that, that would be our responsibility. As I said, if it's within, depending on the base, most of them are 50 feet from the fence, that we are also making sure that is free and clear of anything that would be potentially dangerous or hazardous.
And one of them is based on the brigs and jails and what that is like for a role.
I think the hardest part on that would be to, what's the term I'm looking for? Not necessarily sympathetic, but to stick to the rules and don't go outside of those. Don't break the rules. If someone asks for something extra or something like that, you're not going to be showing favoritism to one person over the other. A rule breaker is a rule breaker. It does not matter what their rank is or who they are. When it comes to brigs, we are just enforcing, this is your job, this is what you're doing, and that's it. You're not going outside that line. And that's one of the hardest jobs that we have, is making sure that we are sticking to it and not deviating.
There's also a question on, it looks like you're wearing a badge. What does the badge say?
Oh, it says U.S. Navy Security Forces. It's our, for this uniform, this is the badge that we have for it. In our dress whites, our dress blues, and our NSUs are the black and tan uniform. We actually have a gold badge now. It used to be silver, but now we have a gold, kind of a metal badge that we can wear in those uniforms now. If you graduate from MA school, that's the one that they are receiving out of school.
Can you tell us a little bit about that MA school?
It's actually not that bad, considering it's only 8 weeks. It is in San Antonio, Texas, which was, I went during the time frame of, let's see, I got there in January. I left at the end of March. So it was cold in the mornings and hot in the afternoons. I loved it. It was on an Air Force base though, so we ate really, really good. The Navy in general has good food, but the Air Force definitely had great food in their galley. But it wasn't bad. It was just like any other school. You go in every morning. We had PT, physical training, Monday through Friday, and then you went back to your rooms. You did your shower and got ready, and then you had to report to your classroom by a certain time. Usually, I think it was 7:30, 8 o'clock. Then we had a full day of instruction. Of course, you had lunch in between. You get released about 16:30 or 4:30. Then you were done for the day. Most of the time, you want to take that time to study just like you would in regular school, because you still had tests, you still had quizzes, you still were expected to pass. If you did not pass, then of course you would be reclassed to some other job. It was not, I didn't see it as bad at all. Our weekends were ours. Most of the time, like especially coming straight out of boot camp, you kind of just wanted the peace and quiet because you were so surrounded constantly with people. You just wanted a little time alone and some peace and quiet to yourself. The hardest part was definitely OC. That was, excuse me, that was definitely the hardest part was the OC spray day. But overall, it's not hard at all. It's 8 weeks. It's 8 weeks of schooling. You come out, you're a master at arms, and you go to your first command.
Yeah, that's actually one of the questions that we have for someone who feels like it or scared of OC spray. How was the experience for you, and was it as bad as it looks?
Yes, it is that and more. It is absolutely terrible. Like the description of how painful it is it's bad. There's no getting around it. As I said, it's only like a 1% that is not affected. It's not something you will ever want to try again, which is the reason that the Navy has you get OC sprayed in school, because some of your duty stations will require you to carry OC on your duty belt. And they want you to think twice before taking down someone or using it against someone else, because it is that painful and it can make someone be extremely aggressive because they are in pain. They're very much in extreme pain.
Okay, so the next one that I have is are there any memorable experiences that you have as an MA?
Oh, yes. Yes. I have a lot, but none of them as far as if you're talking about is there like one particular person I've had to take down or something like that. Let's move it on to this. That's actually one of my further slides down, some of my experiences, and that's just in the military and general life experiences. These are just some of the things that I would have never experienced if I had not joined the military. I was one of those that had my life figured out. I was going to go to college and all of that. But I found myself working 3 jobs and going to college full time, which if you've ever tried anything of the sort and going to school, it's time consuming and it's very difficult to keep up with things. So I ended up in the Navy because a friend of mine was joining. I am incredibly, incredibly grateful and glad that I did follow this route. I would, as I said, some of these experiences that may seem like something small, like going to a Toby Keith concert. Actually, he came to us in Kuwait. That's a picture of him in Kuwait. I would have never had the money for that. I grew up very, very poor. I would have never had the money to pay for that type of concert or go and do anything like that. So to me, just the small things like that was very amazing. When we were also in Kuwait, the Dallas Cowboys and the Redskins cheerleaders came and visited, and they were out there playing cornhole with us, which was like, it was kind of like crazy, but at the same time, it's like these are people that you see from TV. You always see them from afar, never expecting you will ever actually meet them in real life. So for me, it was that kind of situation. Same with Dave Ramsey. He's like the financial guru out here in Nashville. A lot of people go to him to help change their financial situation, usually for the better. Pickler and Ben, Kelly Pick, that was in the audience. I wasn't on the show. I was in the audience of the show, and that was pretty cool. The Predators games, y'all probably know who the Predators are, the hockey team. I've been a guest for them a couple of times during the national anthem. They do the military salute. Being able to go to third world countries like the Philippines and learning how you have these little kids that are running around barefoot and all they say to you is money, ma'am, money, ma'am. And of course, before you even go over there, a part of your debrief is don't give them money. Don't give them actual money because all they'll do is gamble it. And you're like, how do these kids gamble? But you actually see them on a computer and they are gambling. And I'm like, I don't even know how to do that. Like, that's crazy to me. But it's amazing some of the things that you experience and see in other cultures and people and learning about them and what they do. Most definitely. The fiestas, I did not know what a fiesta was. In Guam, they have villages, and they also have each village has their own fiesta time period. The one that I lived in was October, Halloween. If I was not gone from my house by 5 o'clock at night, I was not going to be leaving my house. Like, it was that kind of thing. Like, the streets were covered. Every house was open with food, and it was considered rude if you did not go in and eat from each individual house, which, the first time I ever went to a fiesta, I filled up at the first one. So I was considered that rude American after that. But they are extremely, extremely friendly people, and it was awesome. It was amazing being out there with those guys. As I mentioned, the beaches, I've been to several different beaches by now, and it's been amazing. That's why I love the Navy. No matter where you go or what you end up doing, you're going to be on or near a beach. No one, I don't think anybody can really complain about that. I didn't put in there that I had been to Pensacola, Florida before I came to this duty station, so I got to experience the beaches there quite a bit. I did get my college and education that I really, really wanted, and I got it without being in debt. So that was really awesome for me. Believe it or not, even though I'm military police, I am one of the few that did not get my criminal justice degree. I ended up going for psychology. It was always a bigger interest of mine to see how people thought and wanted to follow along that pathway. And of course, you will learn no matter what branch you go to, but I have learned how to do streak-free cleaning. Whenever you clean mirrors and stuff, it's kind of like a standing joke, especially whenever you get to boot camp. You're like, I want that to be streak-free. And then you're like, now you're an expert at it. I'm like, I got this. I got this. That kind of answered the original question. I know I kind of went on a little bit on that one.
No, that's great. I mean, that's what it's all about, is sharing those experiences. This is a really great question that we got. So it says, I'm a female and want to be an MA, but scared because of how the rate is perceived as a man's job. What advice do you have for someone who wants to be an MA?
You will discover your man voice. There is a particular movie that when I first came in, I was that geek. Not geek as in smart, geek as in I love to read. I was that quiet spoken person. I would not stand out. I took speech, as I said, I did college, year of college before I came in. And I was that person that could not stand in front of someone and talk, like in front of a crowd. Like, I was just very shy. In A school, that is one of the things they will teach you. They will teach you to speak very loudly and very proudly. But of course, it's not until you've had experience, and that's why they start you out at you start at the bottom and work your way up, because you're not only learning leadership, but you're also growing in maturity and knowledge in what you were doing. Now I'm very comfortable talking in front of a bunch of students. I'm okay with that now because I have come into myself, I guess you could say. But as far as a female coming into the MA rate, they'll teach you your voice. You speak from the diaphragm, speak very loudly. But as long as you know your knowledge and study, the guys they don't hold it against you that you're a female. Like, it's not that type of situation or scenario at all. I mean, but when it comes to being in a female in the military in general, we do have to be more cognate of our reputations. And you will hear this a lot. Perception is everything, especially in the military, just because when you are in uniform, you are looked at more closely than you are out of uniform. But it's just like if you were in high school and you're there, then you know how females are perceived compared to how males are perceived for the same situations. It's the same for the military, but you are more cognate of it in the military, and so you try harder because you know that, hey, this is my career, this is what I'm doing for hopefully at least the next 4 years or more. So yeah, you're just more careful in that aspect, but the guys treat you the same as they would any other, as long as you are that person that knows your stuff. But does that answer your question about the females?
I think it does. Great answer.
Excuse me. Okay. I was going to go back one slide here. I know some of you had some of the questions about the MA school. I know I got my slides probably out of order on this one. You do receive, these are part of the different types of training that you will receive while in A school. And of course, everyone knows some of the most common 10 codes, like 10-4, you hear that over the phone even. Some of you older generation probably remember the Nextel, like push to talk. We use, so you kind of got to know that one a little bit, but as I said, you always have the rifle, the pistol, and the shotgun. That's no matter where you go. The baton, more often than not, yes. The OC spray, I've never carried it. As I said, I've never done base security. I've done every other type of security, but I've never done base security, so that was different. Yeah, you do go through different techniques, procedures, interview and interrogation techniques. I never got to that point where I was sat in on an interview or interrogation. As I said, I've never done base security, so that was part of what they did. Report writing, we all had report writing, no matter what you do. And you will learn recruit handwriting. To this day, I cannot write lowercase. Once you've done recruit handwriting for so long, that's what's just going to stick with you. But my writing is legible. Use of force and rules of engagement, that's everywhere you go. Those change a little bit depending on the command that you are at. You'll see signs, use of force authorized, deadly force authorized or not. That just depends on where you are. And of course, military law. There are some do's and don'ts that is different a little bit from civilian law, but usually it's a more strict, should I say, than civilian law. Like when I first got to Guam, drinking age for Guam was 18 and above. Drinking age for the military and on base is 21 and above. So that was a big difference that a lot of people, and I mean a lot of people, got in trouble for because they would go out in town, have too much fun, and then try to come onto base, and well, now they're illegal, so to speak. So it was actually kind of crazy because right before, about 3 months before I left Guam, they changed all of Guam drinking age to 21 and above. So, did anybody have any questions about this slide?
No, I think you answered like all the questions on this one from earlier too. So
yeah. Awesome. The next slide just had a few of the pictures that we were talking about earlier. I was mentioning some of the celebrity people that I got to meet that I would never have gotten to see or meet without the military influences. This is Dave Ramsey there on the left, and of course that's a picture. I was at Bridgestone Arena This was actually just last year. It was a more recent one. And then, of course, Miss Kelly Pickler from the Pickler and Ben show. They had a veteran appreciation. So, and of course, I didn't pay to do any of this. This is something that they wanted to do for the military in general. And it was a great honor to be able to go and do that and meet those guys. And it's an experience that I can say I've had that no one else that from back home can say, hey, I've done this kind of deal. So, I did post on the last slide. I get a lot of, because I am currently in recruiting now, I get a lot of people that say, I want to be in the FBI, I want to do NCIS. They're looking for that stepping stone. And the military police is a great stepping stone for these type of careers, because you have the security clearance, you have veteran status, you also have experience, which you can't get straight out of college. You come out of college with that criminal justice degree. What kind of experience do you actually have under your belt? When you put in your resume for any sort of community, they're going to look for that. They want to see something other than just the knowledge portion. They want to see some practical application. So this is something the military police definitely sets you up for. I personally, when I was in the reserves, I did law enforcement. I didn't do it for city police. I did private security side of things. I found that to be more my cup of tea. But I was also in college at the time, so it gave me more scheduling. I had more leeway with my own schedule by being able to do private security. But these, as I said, NCIS, FBI, I actually knew 10 individuals from one of my reserve units. They got selected for NCIS. I was this close to putting in for it, but I was at that time of my life where I was starting. I got a husband and I was wanting to start a family and such, so I did not personally go for it myself. But it was always a thought of mine to do that, because probably like you guys, I'm a fan of NCIS show. Just saying, I like the Criminal Minds and all of those shows. But of course, K-9 officer, corrections officer. I know a lot of the individuals that I had served with that have gotten out, and that's exactly what they're doing. They're doing corrections officers and such. Nuclear power plant security officer, as I said, that's just, you already have a big part of your security clearance, which are expensive if you're paying for it in the civilian side. And of course, contractors, they make quite a bit of money, but there's a lot of job opportunities out there just from not only the schooling and education that you receive from the military, but also that you are already trained to be on time, to be there, to do your job. You're not calling out sick for something dumb. That's what people want out of the military. That's what they want a veteran. That's why they hire a veteran for it. Do we have any questions on that one?
Yeah, we got a whole bunch that just came in. So,
okay. We've got time. That was the end of that one. So.
Yeah. Did you always want to be a master at arms?
I'm sorry, you cut out on that one.
Did you always want to be a master at arms?
No. Whenever I went to join, actually, I told them I didn't care what job I did. I actually wanted nursing. I knew someone that was a nurse, and I greatly admired her, and that's what I always wanted to do. But as I said, I had lost my scholarship for college. And so a friend of mine was joining the Navy. I was her ride. She didn't have a car. So I took her to everything. I took her to a meeting at all the recruiting. I even did the ASVAB to kill time because she was taking ASVAB. So I went ahead and took it. The recruiter, of course, was like, come on, I'm good, dude. I've got my college. I'm working. Yeah, I was working 3 jobs, but I love my jobs. I did. But it wasn't until I went to sign up for my fall semester that I found out I lost my scholarship. It wasn't because of my grades. I'm not like dumb. It wasn't because of my grades. It's because I overslept my 2 8 a.m. classes. And I am not a morning person. And in college, that counts against you, and letter grades against you. So when I went to the recruiting office that same day. I said, hey, guess what? You got me. So they already had an ASVAB. So it was a simple matter of doing my physical paperwork. And I told them I didn't care what I did. And they offered me MA, and I said, I've never shot a gun before. Like, I literally never shot a gun before. And they were like, well, they'll teach you. And he was right. They did. Now I'm quite good at it. I'm better with a rifle than a pistol, I'm just saying. But yeah, I'm pretty happy. And of course, I've stayed MA. I could have changed jobs, but I end up liking what I do and what we stand for.
That's awesome. One of the other questions kind of along the same route. If you could be any other rate in the Navy, which would you want to be and why?
Ooh, never really thought about it. Because of my interest in healthcare, I've thought about going the corpsman route. They are very diverse in what they do. They get a lot of different experiences with the sick call, working in the hospital. They can do the, I would say, I know exactly what it is actually. I went to the reserves and I wanted to do the college. I'm stubborn. So I decided, I was like, I'm going to go back and try to do that nursing thing again. I ended up not getting, I did all my prereqs. I did all that. It was great. But I didn't get into the nursing program, which of course you have to be accepted into. As I said, I'm not that smart. I'm like an average B student. So I was like, okay, I'm going to go to my EMT. I'm going to try EMT so I can at least work in the field. And I liked it. I actually really, really loved it. I went through tactical combat casualty care training in the military. I actually went through it twice. I really loved it. I went through expeditionary combat skills in the military through one on the way from one duty station to another. You know, we had to get extra trainings. And I was like, I couldn't believe it. It was like a light bulb went off. It's like, oh man, I love this. I love getting in, doing what needed to be done. And then someone else has to take care of the rest of it. So if I had a choice, I would want to work in I would want to work in an ambulance or the ER portion of that, which would be a side, it would be corpsman, ATF, or FMF. But yeah. They don't rank up well, I will say that. They rank up as well as we do, actually.
Yeah, a lot of the cadets that I know that are local to me, like they really like the corpsman ATF. They're like, oh, that's what I want to do because it's like the coolest one.
Get physically fit.
Exactly. I mean, most of them are, and they're just dying to do something like that because it's the one that they always see on TV and things like that. It's especially what you mentioned with NCIS. That's what some of them are like. Oh yeah, oh I want to do that. It's like that's what they're all about with some stuff like that. One of the questions that we got after the Navy, what do you plan to do?
Oh, I'm in between following through because I got my advanced EMT. As I said, I really love that portion of things. And right now I would just need paramedic, but I have no practical experience because as soon as I got my license in the mail, I was literally back on active duty because for funeral honors, I took over the coordinator position of that. So it's in between going for that and paramedic or using my psychology degree and working for DCS. I just don't know if I could handle the political side of being a children's services worker. I don't know if I can handle that personally yet, but that's something that has always something I've wanted to help as younger children who are not as well off find a better place or get them back to the place that they need to be. So I'm kind of in between both of those right now. But
That's awesome. It's really great. No, I think it's always great, especially with this program. I mean, we're helping the cadets kind of figure out their own path like that, and it's the idea that you're helping somebody else be better off. And you know, the ones that are watching right now, they're considering joining the Navy and going in and getting this kind of firsthand experience and what it's actually like. It means the world to them for those types of things. So I'm trying to read through the questions that I have. Somebody mentioned on one of the slides it said something about Navy contractors and what that is like. going from being a master at arms to then getting a job as a Navy contractor? I'm not quite sure.
Well, it's probably it referred to contractors in general. Actually, a lot of them, like Millington, for instance, they actually have a lot of civilian contractors as base security, and they make on par, if not more, depending on they get paid by the GS scale, which is on par with how the military gets paid as well. That's what I mean by contractors. You're basically doing the same job, but you're a civilian now. A lot of the places have gone to doing civilian contracting. I don't know the reasons for that. It's above my head. But contractors are very popular, and that includes overseas. They have contractors as well. But
we have a question of what is your favorite gun and why?
my favorite gun? Oh, I don't know. I really liked the rifle. I have a couple of them now, personally. I think it's just because you not only have the force, but also you can see the impact. Like, it's just like, it's amazing. You get out there and shoot it, and it's like amazing. I love the shotgun, but well, your shoulder's gonna be a little sore. Even with proper placement, your shoulder's gonna end up a little sore. Yes, definitely. I would say the rifle. The rifle. Yeah. And of course, I'm better at it than I am the other weapons, but that may be just because I shoot it more. If I practice more with the pistol, I'd probably be better at that one too.
We have another question. If you knew then what you know now, what would you do different?
I would probably study a little more, prepare for boot camp. I was one of those. Nowadays, you can come in boot camp as an E3. It is very, very common to come into boot camp as an E3. I came in as an E1, and I left boot camp as an E1. I did the entire 996, the entire ladder up. And I've discovered that even with my sailors that are going in now, those that are coming out of boot camp, there's so many different ways to now rank up and succeed. I wish I had studied a little bit more and felt more confident in myself and the knowledge that I did know. I did not speak up very much. As I said, I was a very quiet person, but now I know it's better to speak up than to say nothing at all, or to ask that question rather than just assume or just go with it. It's better to be clear and get that clear answer and go forward from there than to risk messing up big time or something. But no, I wish I was just like a little bit more confident in myself and my abilities and just speaking up and taking charge. And I know how to do that. I'm going to go do it instead of like, I don't know if I want to be in the spotlight kind of deal. But, age makes a difference.
No, absolutely. I mean, that's a really good point, especially for some of the cadets that are kind of getting that bump up that the program can give them, because you can enlist as an E3 if you get to a certain part in the Sea Cadet program, and that's one of the biggest benefits for some of the kids that are part of this program. They really look forward to stuff like that, as well as like getting pummeled with all the knowledge and learning all about stuff just like this is taking a really big step in the right direction. There is a question. Would you have any advice for a cadet that is thinking of being a master at arms?
Ooh, stay out of trouble, first and foremost. I knew quite a few that got kicked out of school because they could not stay out of trouble. It is very easy, especially at a younger age, to be with those friends who can lead you down the wrong path. And as I said, I am a recruiter. I work with a lot of individuals who were just wrong place, wrong time. We're with those friends who they may or may not know were carrying illegal substances. And it doesn't matter if it was that one person or not, you're all getting charged with the same thing. Like, that is no joke. when it comes down to it, think about your career. Is it really worth that one night going out, doing things that you should not be doing, when a year from now you're going to be off, hopefully starting your career in your next life? You may or may not still even be talking to that person. Who knows? Communication takes two on that part. But just stay out of trouble. Learn your job. I cannot stress enough, just learn your job. After you learn your job, no one's going to mess with you. Ever. They're not going to mess with you as long as you know your job and do your job. Don't be that lazy person that just like, I'll show up when I feel like it or something like that. We all work together. We work as a team. I show up 15 minutes early as we're supposed to watch, as we expect the person that's relieving us to show up 15 minutes early, right? That's just, we working as a team and helping each other out. But just learn what you're supposed to do. And as far as master at arms, stay out of trouble. Be prepared and want to go and do different things. Open up yourself to those experiences and going and doing it.
That is awesome advice. So there's one last question. Last question that the cadets love asking this question. And cadets, I promise that I have not prepared MA1 for this question.
Now you got me worried.
If you could describe the Navy with one word, what would it be and why?
I would say it's been an adventure. Basically because, as I said, I was from a small town, and my first time ever flying was to boot camp. Just the small things like that. Going all over the world. I haven't been all over the world, but a lot of my friends have. I've seen a pretty good portion of the world with the shorter time I've been in. And I hope to see more before I'm done and retired, most definitely. But I would say it's been an adventure. The people I have met, the lifelong friends I have not seen my bunkmate in boot camp, Terry Pines, since we graduated boot camp. And me and her are still friends. Somehow she ended up in Hawaii for 8 straight years. But, it's just those lifelong friends and those stories that you, like, me and her were called 2 peas in a pod. If it can be messed up in boot camp, we messed it up. Like, seriously, we messed it up. I stamped, you'll learn, you're going to stamp all your clothes and stuff. I stamped everything with my first name. She stamped it all with recruit. Like, literally, she stamped it recruit. But those are just like the experiences you're never going to get back. The first time you're in a shower with 10 females and you were that shy person that never undressed in front of anybody, sorry. But just going out there and doing these different things. And if y'all don't know what a slingshot is, I've done the slingshot in Guam. It's like this ball that you get in and it shoots you up into the sky and you see the entire island. Like, it was super scary, but it was so much fun. I did bungee jumping in San Diego. Like, I jumped off a bridge. Who does that? Like, my grandmother saw the video and she's like, oh my gosh. Like, it was, of course you have to pay for the video, right? It's on a bucket list. I still plan on doing skydiving, like things like that. And all of that, I still paid for a little bit through the MWR, which, all the bases have discounted tickets and stuff. But it's those experiences I would have never, ever got the chance to do if I'd have just stayed in Tennessee and in college and everything. So I'm glad I'm getting to experience life and such. I've got my family. I've got a 2-year-old, so he's always keeping me on my toes now. And I'm very happy that I'm able to help provide for him and whatever he wants to do, whenever he gets to that age, if he wants to do sports or whatever, I'll be able to do that for him and be able to provide for him. And by the time he's to the middle school and stuff, mommy will be retired. Yeah, we love the Navy retirement system, right? Well, military in general, but so I'm super excited that I'll be to that point, but it's definitely been an adventure and it's not over yet. So, but yeah.
Well, MA1 Wilton, thank you for your time today and for your service. If you like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up.
Thank you guys so much for the invite. If you have any other questions, the PAO MC1 has my contact information. I would love to answer them anytime. So thank you for having me as well.
Thanks. Cadets, make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon to get notified when we go live next. You can share this video with fellow cadets, family, and friends. This is probably one of my favorite episodes, which is awesome. But thank you all for watching, and we'll see you next time on Real Sailors, Real Sea Stories.